trust, for life is full of treacherous, not the real criminals at the top. More dirt than those with gas to bust, so be careful of who you trust. Life is full of treacherous, not the real criminals. A special song, exclusive, brand new. In honor of my very special guest, episode 351, Knowledge is Love. You know I gotta hit you with a little something before we start the show.
Yes, sir.
Guess what? He's back again. Joseph Octaviani, my brother and my friend. He's the Taurus moon and the Cancer sun. He's the Pisces rising, so he sees through you, son. Come on, ladies. Listen, come closer. He's got the tinctures to make you feel like the most you've ever felt it before. Life the Plant Way, the best herbal store. Not just in Cali, I'm talking worldwide. Understand, he slides inside with the tinctures and remedies to heal your organs. Don't you understand? You know there's no bargain. This is high price, quality seed. These are herbs and plants heal your bee. So are my words, so you see. It's Life the Plant Way and your boy Big E. Let's start the show. Ooh. What's up, y'all? Eric
Man.
Astrology. Yo, I had to for my brother, and thank you for my boy DJ Unity with the track. Welcome to episode 351, Knowledge is Love, my astrology podcast, and I present the owner of, seriously, the most amazing herbal shop and store that you will find, Joseph Octaviani, Life the Plant Way. Welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing amazing, man. Eric, hey, listen. I'm going to replay that for my kids. That's legendary. I love that, man. Thank you so much. The greatest intro I've ever had, personally. Yeah, that was amazing. So thank you.
That's what's up.
I'm honored to be here.
Well, listen, man. Listen. You know, we had a great first interview. You know, what I admire and respect so much is that, you know, we're in the age of Aquarius and people talk about authenticity, but you are one of the most authentic humans and gentlemen that I've met. Not just the kindness, but your purpose and intention on creating remedies and products, herbs, teas, and tinctures to truly heal the collective. And as you said on our first episode, this isn't a want. This is what the people need. So share with the audience, what does that mean to you as the CEO of Life the Plant Way in terms of providing a need for the people?
It's the infinite fuel for the business. It's the infinite fuel for me that I need to keep going. Like that, it's the thing that makes it feel like fun and not a job. You know? It's the thing that makes it just feel like passion, not a job. And one, that's why it's so easy for me, you know, and so exciting for me and genuinely fun for me, you know, because it's like a kid at a candy store. It's like a kid with a new set of toys, you know. It's probably like how you get around instruments or in the booth, or, you know, you just feel like, man, you know, the world is my oyster. This is just infinite imagination that I can work with. That's how, you know, healing the body kind of feels for me, and herbalism feels for me. And this business specifically that I've created, it's a soul business, I call it, because it's my soul's purpose. It's my soul's medicine here on this planet. You know, some people have herbalism, some people have music, some people have other types of art, some people have, you know, laughter, right? Everybody has their soul's medicine here that the world needs in this very moment. And so for me, I was able to find that You know, I was able to find that, but also find the information and the right people to model my business after, to where it can be in alignment with me, you know, and it
Mm.
can be just very easy for me, very fun for me. So it's not very strict and corporate and, you know, traditional in the business sense. And it's exactly what my spirit wanted. And yeah, it allows me to provide this medicine to the world. But yeah,
Wow.
man, it makes it very, very, very fun for me.
You said it so perfectly, man. And I feel that as you say those words, and we'll get to everybody. Hello to everybody in the chat and welcome. Thank you for coming. You guys smash the like button if you're new, subscribe to the channel. So, Joseph, tell people when the idea sort of birthed in your head, and then when you officially launched Life the Plant Way.
I love this question because this memory is so funny to me. I was, it was about 2, 3 in the morning where magical things happen. And, you know, the spirit world, the veil is very thin at that time. And so anything that kind of comes through my mind can easily be transitioned into this world, I like to say. And so it was like 2, 3 in the morning. I had just got done having a session outside, you know, and enjoying the Mary
Yes.
J, her
Yeah.
company, and those two together, that the late night, you know, and the imagination with that. I was already reading. I was already trying to start a business, so
Yes.
I was already business minded. I never liked the job. I never liked people telling me what to do. I didn't like being on somebody else's schedule, right? And so I already had the motivation to just like, I need something of my own, and I've been like that for years prior to creating this. And so that wasn't new to me. But what was new to me was doing it for the herbs. I was
Mm.
already interested in herbalism. I was already practicing myself. I was already helping my friends, my family, and learning so much and applying so much of that knowledge. And it got to a point where I was in a tough position as a father to provide for my family, and I needed to make something shake, you know, to where I was, you know, one night I was up thinking of something, and in my brain I was like, well, since I already love the herbs, why don't I just make a business about herbs? You know, and at the time I was trying to I was trying to make it as a photographer. I had already released several books. I had, you know, shows, all this type of stuff, galleries, all that type of stuff. But it
Wow.
just wasn't paying the bills like that. But I noticed that I started to, you know, deny it and deny that side in replacement of the herbs and doing something surrounding herbalism. And I was like, I can't just let go of this without having some type of income coming in. And so I was like, wait, why don't I just do this? Right? And so I thought of the idea. I drew the logo. Spirit gave me the logo. I made it on my like iPhone or something. And that was the original logo for the first couple years. Very 2D, flat, just stale looking, and which was cool. I started it. That was all I needed. And then, but it wasn't until that's when I really first started the brand. And then it wasn't until I started the company of selling something until I would say about 6, 7 months, 8 months into it, when I had already started to build a following. And so it wasn't until I was like 14,000 followers, I believe was that number for me, to where I was like, okay, I think I got something here. I think I can do something. I just don't know how to. I don't know how to start this. I don't know how to make this exchange happen. I don't know what I'm gonna sell. I don't know. You know, have all this knowledge. How can I apply it for people in a way that I can get it out easy to them? They can, you know, consume it easy. They can understand what's going on. They can feel results faster, and that's when I thought of the tinctures and the teas. But you know, it took me my whole COVID relief check and a couple $100 that I had from Uber and a couple $100 that I got from raising like sales for an ebook that was like $5. Um, And I turned to the queen. I turned to my wife Gladys, and I was like, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna take all this money and I'm gonna invest it into this. I really like the tinctures. They take this long. I gave her the whole thing. Tinctures take this long to make. This costs this much. This costs this much. If I sell this much, then I can make the rent for the month." And she was just looked at me kind of unbothered, like, whatever you got to do to as long as there's a house, as long as there's a roof over my head, there's food on the table, like, I believe in you, I trust you, do whatever
I
crazy
love
thing you're
it.
gonna do.
I love it.
I trust it, I support it, do your thing. And that gave me the motivation, and that gave me that drive to really, have no kind of like nothing holding me back. Like, oh, if she believes in me and she gives me her full faith, I'm
And
gonna
that's
go
all a
all
man
in.
needs, right?
That's all a man needs. I'm gonna go all in, and with that love and that strategy and that drive that I had to improve my situation, that's when it was really birthed. So it was birthed through a little bit of struggle, birthed through imagination, and this assertiveness. And well, when was our first sale? I believe our first sale was around that March time, around that Aries energy. It was around that, I believe March was the end of March. So it was around that Aries energy where I was really like, I'm asserting myself into the world. This is my offer. Take it or leave it, right? And yeah, it was
That's
beautiful.
awesome. I love that. So we're gonna get to you guys in the chat in a minute, but I want to just share some of the amazing astrology because Joseph really, it warms my heart and connects like to my mom. He's a Pisces rising. He's got that Cancer sun in the fifth house and the Taurus moon in the third, which really, I mean, in such a super way connects you to life the plant way. And you're the proud father of three young ones, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so when you when you are making your tinctures and you're coming up with these different remedies, do you also think about for, I know you got the stuff covered with the women, the men, all the organs, but do you also think about stuff that can help the young kids as they're going to elementary and grade school and different things with them, being a father yourself?
I do, but I don't market any products to be kid specific
Exactly.
because we all have the same organs
Yep.
and they can all be repaired the same ways. There's just different dosages needed.
Okay.
So it's not like this is specific for the kid's body, and if an adult takes it then it's useless, right?
Right.
No, it's just different dosages, right? And so there's no kid specific one, but there are three that are specific that I would recommend specifically for kids,
Okay.
especially toddlers and up.
Okay.
And those are the night baby to
Okay.
really knock them out at night and get them to sleep early, because kids, their nervous system requires a lot of sleep,
Yeah.
and in order to grow, and so that can stunt their growth neurologically if they're not getting enough sleep. And so that means like the brain and just your nervous system, your ability to handle stress, your ability to calm your emotions, your ability to, express your emotions.
Yeah.
And so the night baby, that
Okay.
that one was specifically made like for my children to knock them out at night.
I
Yeah,
love it.
because you're not running around at 9, 10 o'clock at night. You're gonna go to sleep. I want my dad and mom time.
Amen. That's right. I
If there
know.
was one that was for kids, I guess it would be that one. But
Okay.
that one would knock out any adult, any human being. 300, 400 pounds doesn't matter. It would knock them out. And so, but yeah, I guess that one was specifically for my children.
I love
Because
it.
most, if not all of my products are for me, my wife, my kids, or a family member, a friend that comes to me with an issue. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh wow, I didn't realize so many people had this issue. Okay, maybe let me explore the market. Oh whoa, everybody kind of suffers from this, and then a
Yeah.
product would go out like that. So that's how that goes. But so it's the night baby, the anxiety support that's very necessary for kids,
Yeah.
especially those super into technology, because they can get easily overwhelmed. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
I have a few of those, and I try to wean them off. We're pretty strict on it, but it's always a challenge.
For sure, for sure. Especially the older they get, you know. I've already accepted that my son is gonna watch whatever he wants to watch when it comes to a certain age. As much as he wants to watch, he's gonna play video games as much as he wants to at a certain age. And so I just tell myself I need to prep you to know what life is like without those. Even if it may sound like I'm a little strict, even
Yeah.
if it may sound like it's not fun for you, but trust me, in the future when you have unlimited access, you're gonna know what it's like to just have that peace away from it. And so, yeah, for sure. The anxiety support I would recommend to anybody, especially in tech, any overwhelmed parent, anybody who needs, um, just strengthening of their nervous system to the point where they can control their emotions a lot better and not be
Okay.
so overwhelmed or anxious or fearful or
So,
right.
so then you're
Um,
saying that's a great product for a Gemini or a Virgo.
is that I don't know the astrology, but if you
Well,
say that, I
yeah,
trust you.
no, okay. I'm only saying it because Mercury is connected to the nervous system, and so
Wow.
that's
Okay.
the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. So I'm joking, but I'm not.
I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I believe you. There's also the last one would be the be mindful. That one's super important for all the kids.
Okay.
I gave that to my firstborn ever since he turned 1, and I felt comfortable with giving him tinctures. And
Okay.
so, even though we personally recommend that our company ages 2 and up, just for
Okay.
safety purposes, that's like a super safe age.
Okay.
Me personally, as a parent, I'm gonna do what's best for my child, and I was giving it to him since 1 years old. And I mean, brain wise, it's for the brain, it's for the mental, it's for the brain cognition, it's for the memory, it's for the mental acuteness, it's for the entrepreneur who needs, it's for the creative, right? And it kind of like stimulates your brain, but in a way to where you have this extreme focus.
Mm.
And that one's really, really popular among students, especially.
So that's perfect that you said that because I can turn that a little bit and ask you, can the be mindful be very beneficial for our parents, people dealing with dementia, Alzheimer's, for some of the seniors?
Oh yeah, 100% for
Okay.
the Alzheimer's, the dementias, even like the schizophrenias, anything that has to do with the brain and spinal cord, the central nervous system.
Okay.
Even that goes to just mechanical movement. Like if there's a brain injury, if there's a stroke, if
Mm,
there's something to where paralysis, if something to where their mobility is limited,
okay.
right, or where their cognition is limited, 100%. Because
Wow.
that's all brain and spinal cord. That's right there.
Okay.
Specifically, like this area right here, the neck and the head.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the chat because I know I have some of my, loyal members who either have parents or deal with different things that you just mentioned. So let's see who's here and see if there's any questions for Joseph and say hello to the people.
For sure, for sure. Hello, Phoenix from Tennessee. Um, one thing I wanted to mention was also for a lot of mothers, specifically mothers, they go through, what do they call it, mommy brain. And it's this period that women just seem to have after giving birth, to where they have this enormous amount of brain fog.
Yeah.
They forget their sentences really fast and forget things pretty easily.
And sometimes they deal with the
I
postpartum too.
The postpartum for sure is huge,
Yeah.
very very common. I know people personally that have gotten postpartum, that I've helped personally with postpartum. Um, it's very very common. And the one thing I will say, this, since I am on a platform to say it, the one thing I will say is that I'm gonna need men to start recognizing that,
Yes.
and men recognizing that postpartum is a thing, and that your spouse, your partner, the mother of your children could be going through that. It is a hormonal thing. So yes, the behavior changes, the dynamic changes completely. And so it's very important that men do a good job, instead of being offended from certain things or being closed off to certain realities,
Yeah.
like support them even more than ever.
Amen.
Um, because yeah, it's very, very.
No,
I
no
see it
finger
far
pointing.
too often.
Be like, how can I help you? You just brought my
It's
baby
for
into the
real.
world. How can I be of
What can I
service to you?
do? Exactly, service. What can I do to be of service? Like, don't move. Let me get that. Do you want me to cook? Let me cook that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, just have more compassion for them. And I speak that, having multiple kids, there was a point in time in the very beginning where I didn't have as much compassion as I should have. I
Mm,
never experienced it before. I wasn't well educated on it. It's easy to take things personal during that time.
yeah.
Like, oh, she just doesn't like me, right? It's not the case, right? And so I became educated on it. Luckily, the Queen sent me articles, books, videos, all these types of things to help me understand. Very sly, very not like you have to watch this. Very like, oh, this is cool. What do you think of this? Like,
Oh, I love it.
very
Yeah,
sly, but
Gladys
which
is
was
a champion
cool.
for the moms and the wives out there. I love that.
For sure, which was great for my nervous system to be able to accept it and say, yeah, let me check this out. Like, wow, I didn't know that would happen. Wow, I didn't know that goes on after, men only know so much about pregnancy. We only know
Yeah.
what we see, and so, yeah, I will say that my men definitely need to have more compassion during these times, during obviously throughout the entirety of your relationship, but especially be on point when it comes to the pregnancy and post pregnancy. Super key because that definitely affects the child, down the line.
Oh yeah. That's powerful. Okay, let's go. You want to go back to the chat, see who we got, and they coming up? Any comments or questions? Or
No, not on my end.
oh, you don't see any of them?
No, I think I just see one.
Oh,
I
okay.
see one from YouTube,
Okay, yeah,
and
we got
that's.
a couple of comments and questions and stuff.
Oh man, you're gonna have to read them out to me. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see
Well,
them on my end.
okay, let's see. Well, hold on. You know what? Wifey's here real quick. She can just
Let me
read
see. So our
read a
girl
couple.
Sia, she said that she has PMS really, really bad. I saw that a few minutes ago. Let's see what else. That's a question about having
PMS.
PMS and can you help her with that? And
Okay. For me, and a couple people that I know personally have had PMS that I've helped them with, and so I've gotten firsthand experience with that, with working with somebody right next to me. PMS for me, and really this goes for any hormonal issue, but specifically PMS, it's a pituitary gland issue,
Okay,
right?
the
So
function.
overall, the way that I look at the glands, I look at it kind of zoomed out, right? The organs create, how the organs keep the body organized, kind of like how I always repeat. But the organs kind of have little crews, and these crews are called systems. This makes up a system. And so there's about 6 or 7 organs in the digestive system. It makes up the digestive part of your human. There is the hormonal system, and that's the pituitary, the thyroid, the ovaries, the testes, all these types of things. These are the adrenal glands. These are uh, hormonal organs. So they deal with your hormones, and your hormones deal with basically telling something to move, telling something, giving it a command, giving it a direction. Make more of this. Excrete more of this. Don't excrete this. Perform this action. And so PMS, I go to the hormonal system,
Mm,
because your cycle is a hormonal thing. And so the pituitary gland up here runs the whole, it's like the master puppeteer, I like to call him.
yeah.
Okay. And when we go after that organ and bring balance to it, well, first we have to look at the root, right, and what's causing it damage. But then if you actually want to fix it, you go after that said organ, and you can go after the uterus, to help with any pain, remove of any old blood, and you can go after the colon. But the main perpetrator here is going to be the pituitary gland. That's how I look at the organs.
Wow.
And that's how I kind of, I guess, help you fix these things. It's just by bringing balance to the organ that was already supposed to have balance in the first place.
Right, right.
There already was supposed to be an equal amount of estrogen and progesterone and all these different types of organs. Because there is, it's out of balance, we have to look at the guy who's supposed to keep it in balance and say, hey, what's going on, bro? Like, do you need something? You need help? All right, let me give you this herb. Let's bring you back into balance, and then it starts working as normal and you feel the difference. And so now when we look at the root, for me, doing this for years now, being a member of this poisonous United States society, there's so many toxins out here that I can't name a specific one that says this is the root of everything. But I will say that your liver is responsible for organizing that. So your liver, right? If we zoom out, look at the organs. What is everybody supposed to be doing up in here, right? What organ? Pituitary gland? What are you doing? Oh, I'm maintaining the hormonal balance. All right, cool. Liver, what are you doing? Well, I'm an organizer. I'm the factory. Everything that comes into the bloodstream, I have robotic arms. I'm just painting a picture. Obviously, I have robotic arms, and this gets stored, this gets used, this gets eliminated. Like I send everything on its way. I'm the postal service, I guess you could say. And what happens is we're in a world full of phytoestrogens and these fake hormones and pumped hormones in the meats and in there's fake estrogens in the makeups and the sprays and the
And the
aerosols
plastics and the sky
and the
spray.
plastics and the right. And so our liver is so overburdened that it's like, hold on, okay, store it here, store it in the belly over there, store it in the armpit over there, store it in the underarm fat, store it in the neck. Like, let's store all these things. It's coming too much. And then your pituitary gland and your hormonal system, when they do a scan of your body and they say, hey, who needs what today? You look over and say, hey, wow, we have a lot of estrogen. We don't really need to be pumping estrogen into the body. Like, let's calm that part of the hormone system down. But guess what? Your uterus is like, hey, send me some good estrogen. I need it. Your pituitary is like, what do you want me to do? Use the one that's there. And it's like, what do you mean? It came from plastic. It came from makeup. I can't use that. And so there's this disconnect in the body, just to give you a super clear picture.
Yeah.
Right? There's a disconnect in the body. So we start to have to cleanse the liver. Right? And the way to do that is super simple. Juice fast. Juice fast. I have a video on our profile page, Life the Plain Way, whether it's TikTok or Instagram, pinned. That is the 10-day liver cleanse. It's completely free. It's just a video where I say, hey, do this for the next 10 days and follow it, and that's a way to cleanse your liver. And the more fat that you lose, the more excess hormones you lose, because that's where it's stored. Right. That's why people be like, wow, I lost 10, 15 pounds. It's, wow, what's this? And it's like, yeah, it's just stored up waste that was in there. I needed to get out anyways. And so I would highly recommend doing that. And then I would go over to lifetheplantway.com and grab our Queen's formula to go after the pituitary gland and go after the uterus and make sure it's not spazzing.
What's that called again? Your Queen's what?
Queen's formula.
Okay.
Yep, the Queen's formula. I would highly recommend that and doing our 10-day liver cleanse. And then after that, I'm pretty sure on the video I tell everybody just follow a plant-based diet and then do that once a month, that liver cleanse once a month. If you feel really, really good and you're like, I still feel like I can go more, then just do it again. Just restart the liver cleanse while using that Queen's formula. 1 dropper a day. That's a 30-day supply. And so just in that month, you should have things that any cramps go away, your cycle starts to get normalized and balanced again. Your next cycle might be shorter again, or shorter. And yeah, but I would do that for 1 month. and
Okay.
see the difference. And if you see a difference and you feel more energized, or you feel less pain, or you feel more regulated, just keep going until you feel like you don't need to, do any type of fasting or any type of special dieting or anything. Just stick to the plant-based and you'll be good.
Okay, that's perfect. All right, we're gonna go back to the chat. Got my son here to help me read the.
Mark Matthews said, "Peace, Big E and guests. Great question or great conversation so far. I'm wondering if you have any products to help with seizures."
Ooh, any products that you have to help with seizures?
Yeah, seizures is a big one. Seizures, and what's crazy is that he might hate me down the line for saying this, but my son experienced seizures very early on in his childhood. I'm talking like 6 to 14, 15, 16 months.
Wow.
And so for like a good year or so, he suffered from these like very, very, very slight seizures that wouldn't last super long, or that wouldn't be like he's not spazzing out too much, but he would seize up and just have this motion.
Right.
For a small second, I'm like, ooh, me knowing what I know exactly what that is. I know exactly what system it is. And that's when I made our anxiety support.
Okay.
And so, like I told you earlier, everything that I've made was for me, my wife, my kids, my friends, people that come to me and say, hey, I need help with this. And that was that one. So that's
hey,
a
let me ask you a
neurological.
question about that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's fascinating. Is the nervous system connected to seizures playing out in the brain?
Yeah, so the way I see it is seizures are like these lights that are on right now. All right, think of these lights that are on right now as the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The lights need to be on with an electrical current. Okay? And so this electrical current running through the wires, that's your neurological system. That's your energy. That's your electricity running through your body. That's what keeps everything on.
Right.
So what would happen if a rat came and started chewing on the wires of that light?
Start to make the lights flicker a little, right?
Start to flicker a little bit. The connection is not going completely. The connection is not there all the time now. Now it's in and it's out. It's unpredictable. It might seize up on you. It might stop on you, and then it might come back. And so that's the nerve. That's how I explain the nervous system to people. And seizures and things like that. That's just your nerves are getting eaten up from the inside, and it's causing this delay in information, in electricity. It could be to like a spasm here, a spasm there, to the heart, to the brain. Doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's all the same issue. But seizures are that. It's your nerves that are getting rotten. And for me, doing this for so long, heavy metals is the main culprit. Unless there is an impact, unless there's some type of a brutal impact that damaged nerves, that damaged cells and tissues and stuff, that created this blockage, right? Or unless there's like a tumor,
That's a good point.
Yeah, tumors
So
can
you could
block
see that blockage through a concussion or a TBI, things like that?
through an X-ray, yeah. Or through some type of, maybe like a C-scanner. I don't really know which one is, but through that, yeah, you can. Or there's times where you can legit feel, like if I were to feel somebody, you can feel a blockage somewhere, depending on where it's at. For some people on their spinal cord, you can usually feel it or see it.
Okay.
Some people have bulges on their necks. Some people
Yeah, like at the
have,
back of the neck. Yeah.
yeah. And so these kind of things can so there's a lot of different ways that the nervous system can become either blocked or eaten alive or destroyed in some type of way to where it's blocking that
So your anxiety
electricity
blend.
from reaching that area.
Okay.
And so for seizures, the one that I've seen, the one that impacted my son is heavy metals.
Yeah.
Sadly, during that time, I didn't know enough about the body, about how to help the queen with breastfeeding, and so we didn't breastfeed that whole his whole first year. She only breastfed about a month or two, and then we had to go on formula. And even though it was a plant-based formula, there's so many heavy metals. They're putting in these minerals,
Yes.
playing God, getting these hard minerals in a laboratory and putting them in this powder and giving it to your body. Your body cannot digest, absorb, and utilize all those minerals. They're too big.
Yeah.
They're unnatural. And so those build up in the nervous system. Those will block up the nervous system. I don't know what it is. My theory is like there's some type of magnetism going on between the electrical current of the nervous system and these heavy metals. Maybe they like attach to it. I
Yeah.
don't know, but heavy metals always affects the nervous system.
Yeah.
And specifically, it's going to be right here, this kind of like brain and neck area.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be your seizures where things kind of like turn off. That's up here. Like Matrix, you know how they unplug right there?
Yeah.
And so that's heavy metal. So what I would do for that is I would do our nerve repair bundle.
Mm.
So beyond the anxiety support, I would actually do something called our nerve repair bundle that has the anxiety support, but also the other herbs for the nervous system, like the Be Mindful and the Night Night Baby that I was telling you about.
Right.
That's all for the nervous system. The central, and the autonomic nervous system, because we have multiple nervous systems.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
The
that
central
bundle
is
goes after those.
Uranus. Okay. The central nervous system back of the neck, that's Uranus. That's the motherboard. And then the regular nervous system, is the Mercury. And that's kind of split up
Wow.
between the Gemini and the Virgo. And when you were talking about the liver, right, for the audience, that connects to also hips and thighs. The ruler of the liver is going to be more so the Sagittarius. So
Wow.
it's kind
That's
of like,
cool.
it's
That's
wild how
cool.
it all connects. So I want to ask you this because, and we'll get back to you guys in the chat. So definitely put your questions. So everyone can find you at lifetheplantway.com, and then on all the socials, you're Life the Plant Way, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. So two questions. I like to wrap things up, together. I don't know why my brain works that way. My wife gets on me about it. But the first one is, you said you have a new product, so I want you to share about that, and then also what's really good for sinuses, like if people
Okay.
have sinusitis or
Yeah.
clogged sinuses.
Okay. Let me show you the new product we have, and then because that's gonna be quick, but the sinuses I'll go in depth on that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that's very common. And so the newest product that we have is called our eye repair formula. And so I created this when I was helping heal my own eyes because I used to have glasses
Okay.
and my eyes used to get irritated. And so this tea blend is unlike our other tea blends that you drink. This you apply directly to your eyes. You can put a couple drops in it if you have a dropper. You can wash it out if you have an eye wash cup, or you can just splash it just like that. Up to you. But what this does is, one, it clears out their tear ducts.
Mm.
And so a lot of us have clogged tear ducts, whether it be from the pollution of living in the city and
Yeah.
not really washing our eyes out at night, or washing our eyes or our face consistently enough. That's as common as that. It can go if some people work with fine particles, whether you're in construction or you're on road work or you're doing some type of art that, dust is coming up, that can get into the tear ducts.
Wow.
Women or men that wear makeup, that can get into the tear ducts. If we're putting face lotion and stuff and it's very toxic, that can, right? So there's a lot of different things that clog up our tear ducts over time, and that clogs up the lymphatic system of the eyes. So eventually, because I don't know if you can see it, but this behind me is an image of the lymphatic system, and it's basically, just to describe it for you, it's like a highway of green vessels. This is what the map is showing. So
Yeah.
think of like the blood where you see all the veins and different images like that.
Yeah.
But it's the lymphatic system. It's the waste of the body. And so our eyes and our eye sockets have vessels on it because everything needs to clean itself.
Yeah.
There has to be a pathway for waste throughout the entire body. Waste cannot sit in the body. It's not designed to sit in the body.
Right.
And so we get our lymphatic systems and our tear ducts clogged up in our eyes. And it's honestly one of the hard, if you don't go after it directly like this,
Yeah.
then it's honestly one of the more longer lasting kind of like detoxes or cleanses that you'll do, because it's so far away from like your eliminative organs. It's on the very
Wow.
opposite. It's the eyes, and you're either peeing or pooping out. Those are your main two,
Yeah.
right? And so it requires more sweating, and if you go after it directly, it's more effective. But that lymphatic system starts to create pressure. It starts to become stagnant and create a lot of pressure. And then you get the eye redness, and then you get the dryness. Then the tear ducts aren't releasing that lubricant that it needs to keep your eyes hydrated. Your eyes get more dehydrated, your vision starts suffering, because it's like your eyes are mini computers, and it's like leaving your computer on for too long, and it's getting hot, and it's getting very, it's not working as fast.
Yeah.
It's the
Plus the
same thing.
blue
It needs to
light
be
from
in
the
a,
computers and the smart TVs and the smartphones, that's affected because we're supposed to have the infrared light, right? Like the old light bulbs. That's why people are finding out now that these what do you call them? The fluorescent lights are terrible. I mean, the
yeah.
LED lights are terrible for us. You know what I mean? That now that they
They're
have,
very,
we need the old lights that have the red filament in it, because that's compared to nature instead of the blue light. You know,
exactly. It all goes back to the nature, huh? It all goes back to just the
everything
natural, right?
everything goes
Just
back to nature, man.
leaving things as it is. That's what it goes back to. The common sense, right?
Oh
And,
man, I love it.
and so yeah, I mean, it's like that. It's like you got to think about our eyes as being computers. It's like these movies where, let's say, like Transformers or some type of tech movie, where they have goggles on, and it's like you see things tracking, and you see like different numbers, right? It's like that, but just in our eyes, like to our brain.
Yeah,
So many different things. It's processing the depth and the eyes and the whatever. It's processing everything. And so these things are they're motors that are running. As long as your eyes are open, that motor is running, and you need it to be lubricated to stay cool, to stay fresh, in order for it to work properly. And so, so our eyes, this was made to clear that out, help clear out the tear ducts, which brings in the natural hydration to the eyes, the natural lubrication to the eyes, and and so this helps with eye pressure, dry eyes, and the neurological system. There's a lot there's oat straw in here, which is a tonic or a builder or strengthener of the nervous system.
wow.
And so it helps repair. It's like it's literally like it's working on a computer, and it's pretty
Yeah,
cool. But so that's our newest formula right there. It's
I love that.
sold individually, or it's sold as a part of a bundle. If you want to repair the eyes, you have to go after a couple different organs, but that's, a whole nother conversation. But
Okay, I
for
love
the
that, man. Thank you.
sinuses,
Sinuses, yeah.
yeah, for the sinuses, that's super common. Do you know somebody that's
I
going through that?
struggle with sinus issues, and so does my son that's here with us. Rita, yeah, a lot of sinusitis. And for me, because I got valley fever in 2013, it did not go to my lungs. It went to my head and my neck. So I was producing mucus every day as if I had the flu.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow.
So it's really, really a challenge even to this day. So yeah, share with the people how you help people with sinus issues.
Sinus issues, I feel like, are one of the most common things that everybody has.
Yeah.
And even periodically, I'll see some of my children have some type of maybe sinus blockage, or maybe their nose just starts leaking out of nowhere. Like, okay, let me address that right away. So sinuses are super common. A part of it is living in a city setting, or living in a really dry, polluted setting,
Yeah.
low humidity with a lot of pollution in the air. Super horrible mix.
Yeah.
And so it's because it's very irritating. It's not only drying out your sinuses, which there needs to be some type of moisture, but it's also just very drying and irritating and inflaming when you breathe in this toxic air.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. It's very common in the city settings and dry areas.
Yeah, and it's dry in
But
Arizona, so we
also,
really deal with that.
yeah. So you have to stay hydrated is being key. Being hydrated is key. Okay, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But another thing that can cause it really easily is dairy. Dairy. Dairy is huge and lots of fat. So dairy and fried foods. So lots
Hmm.
of dairy and oils.
Okay.
Because all that fat,
See, I don't do the
that
dairy, but
fat.
I try to tell my son about the dairy and fried food. So thank you. That's good.
Yeah, especially the dairy, especially. And I used to eat a whole box of cereal of Fruity Pebbles, sometimes finishing a whole gallon of milk in a day. My mom would be so mad at me when I was a kid, bro. That would be the only thing I eat all day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. And so I would drink a lot of milk. Sometimes I would just drink that 2% milk. Whoop. And it had a lot of fats in it. I mean,
Yep.
think about it. It's supposed to raise a baby cow,
Yep.
right?
Not a human
Baby cow's
person.
not supposed to be our weight. It's supposed to be like 300 pounds. You know what I mean? So it needs a lot of fat. And when you have that fat, it creates a lot of mucus, a lot of phlegm. You can feel it. You can hear it.
Yep.
When you talk, you can feel it. It's gross. And that ends up getting into the sinus and blocking the airways, blocking the lung passage. And so the dairy is a huge proponent to like sinusitis or sinus issues, and just fats in general. Too much fats, I should say.
Okay.
Um,
So what's
but a
what is
couple
your
things.
what's the name of the one to work on that?
Well, okay, two things. One, I'll recommend if you want to get from lifetheplantway.com, that would be our happy lung. And so that's going to open up the airways within 5 to 10 minutes, almost immediately. If I ever hear my kids sleeping, or if I hear them, falling asleep, and I hear some type of like, sound like a pig a little bit, I'm like, hold on, wake up, here, take this happy lung. I don't play with that. Not in the house, because I know you're not breathing right, and
Yeah.
that I can't even sleep. I feel like I'm dying if I can't breathe. I have to be able to have open nostrils and open, a lot of air. And so our happy lung is that one on our website.
Okay.
But one thing that I like to do, and especially if you're in a dry climate or a climate that's affected by wildfire or different smoke, or you're exposed to different smoke or powders, like I said earlier, you work in construction or the street guys, oh man, it's bad.
Yeah.
And so one thing I like to do for them is a nasal steam.
Mm.
That's one of my favorite things to do for myself if I ever have nasal issues, like if I ever have any stuffiness or anything. And what it is, it's something that you do at home. It's a home remedy that's been used for probably millennia. What you need is really just a big pot of water. Start to boil it, and when it starts to boil, throw in a handful of 1, 2, 3 different types of herbs. You're either gonna do peppermint.
Okay.
It can be fresh from the garden, or it can be dried. You're gonna do rosemary, which is one of my favorites personally.
Yeah.
That really soothes the inflammation on the sinuses. That, along with, if you do those together, very, very potent. And then sometimes if I do have it in the essential oil form, I would put in eucalyptus oil.
Yeah.
Or if you live on the West Coast and there's a lot of eucalyptus trees around you, go and get handfuls of eucalyptus leaves. Especially if you live in California, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're a weed over here. You can go outside, wash them, and crush them up, and put them in that pot and breathe in that eucalyptus. Or you can go to your local health food store or whatever place that you would find an essential oil, and you can put in about 5 drops of that eucalyptus oil in that pot. So personally, if I have all 3, I'm doing all 3.
Okay.
If I have 1, I'm doing 1. If I have 2, I'm combining 2. So those are my guys when it comes to that.
One.
And what you're going to do is essentially get a towel of some sort or a blanket and put it over your head and just hover over that pot. You can put it on the floor. You can put it outside on the grass. You can leave it on the stove. and you just breathe in deep breaths through your nose as much as you can. If you can't breathe in through your nose because it's so stuck, just sit there and let it go into your nose and try to breathe as much as you can. And you're doing deep breaths in and deep breaths out. It's going to be sweaty. It's going to be mucusy. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to open up your airways and it's going to make you feel a lot better. You're going to find a lot of relief. You can do that up to about 5 minutes at a time, or even just a couple minutes at a time. Get out, breathe, rest, come back in. If there's no more steam, you can turn it on and do it again. You can do it as many times as you need to throughout the day in order to feel that remedy. But usually within the first couple of minutes, you'll feel that difference, especially if you're using the essential oils. Those are even more potent.
We do that at home, and that's such great advice, and it's very helpful. And sometimes we even will put it in like hot lemon water. Wifey will do that with eucalyptus or peppermint or tea tree. And you know what's been really fascinating? I haven't had a mosquito bite in 3 years since I've been doing that. The essential oils with the hot lemon water is really, really
cool.
awesome. Yeah. All right, so let's go to the chat. I think we may have another question and stuff.
Let's see. Quintella said,
And I will say this: it's also pressure from the gut.
Oh, really?
It's also pressure from the gut. So if you're eating late nights, that'll prevent you from breathing really well at night. I have to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brandon Ellis said, I just woke up, so I apologize. This topic is covered already. Is there anything for people who are bald, not losing hair, but bald?
Okay, so Brandon's asking for people that are bald, not losing hair, but are you trying to grow hair back, or is this just for, so let us know, Brandon. But yeah, tell them about your hair, because you've got an amazing hair. Amazing.
Well, yeah, my hair journey, for context, I was the Puerto Rican in Florida with the fresh fade every weekend, every other week, just to let you know. Yeah, I was, you know what I mean? You already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You already know. And so I was the Puerto Rican with the fresh fade. I did not have this, up until my wife got pregnant with our firstborn. And, she was like, grow it out. You have curly hair. I see the potential. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to go in dad mode. I'm going to be scruffy. I'm going to be like, all right, well, who am I going to impress? And so, I just started growing it out, and I realized, not too long later that, yeah, I did have curly hair. And then I started to understand the spirituality of it and things like that. But,
and our wives like our wives like our long hair.
That's true. Curls get the girls. Curls keep the girls. So I like to tell my son that curls keep the girls. All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
No need to cut it. It's and so yeah, man. I never had it, and for context as well, most of my family is already balding by 30.
Wow.
And so it's very common for balding to run in my family. Actually, I didn't know this until years later of growing my hair. I was looking at old pictures, and I saw a picture of the back of my head, and I was actually already balding a little bit here.
Really?
Like this spiral, that circle was actually way larger than it was before, and I'm like, what is that? I can't see it. Never felt it, never seen it, never, until I saw it in a picture. So I was actually already on that path to doing that. And so there is a way that you can grow hair. If you're bald and your hair follicles, like your head is completely smooth bald, not
he
like
wants to grow it back.
a little prickly bald, but if it's like smooth bald, then that is the hair follicles being burnt up. It's like inflammation to the hair follicles. And so that's a way harder journey than, somebody who's just like balding and they have the hair, but it's like receding and things like that. That one's a tougher journey, but can you do something about it? I mean, I've helped. I'll never forget this one woman burnt her hair. She had a piece of her hair burn off. Her scalp was burned.
Wow.
Due to like a hairdressing incident.
Yeah.
And so she had no hair on that. It was just smooth. It was burnt. I mean, she didn't think she would have hair again on that. And she started using our hair repair oil years ago when it first came out just to see if it would work. And after a month of use, she started to feel that after like 3 weeks, she started to feel that kind of like itchiness, that tingle, like what is that? Like something's there. And then after that month, she started to see the hair start to poke out. And so, do I think it's possible? Yes, I think it's possible. But like I said, it took her a month just to see it start, get that
Right,
that
but you got
that
to be
fuzz,
patient,
that
right? It
buzz,
takes
right?
time. And with nature, right, explain to people, right? You're not doing pharmaceuticals that is just a patchwork, but it seems like it's an instant like type of fix, but it's creating other damage. You're using nature, and sometimes that takes a little bit more time, correct?
Exactly. It's like a tree. It's like if you chop a tree a little too much, or if you have any plants, you stomped on the plant by accident. It's alive, but it's gonna be a while before it gets that flower back. But it's alive and it's growing. You might not like how fast it's growing, but it's growing. And so with herbs, I'll say two things. With herbs, they work the exact opposite of pharmaceuticals. Herbs, pharmaceuticals, like you said, they're strong now and they get weaker over time, so you need to increase your dosage. Herbs they're okay right now, but if you take it over time, their strength increases.
Mm, I
Right?
like
So
that.
they focus more on consistency rather than intensity. And that, I mean, kind of goes, I guess that kind of like mirrors society, where we're just so like, go hard, go rough, go whatever, now, burnout,
Yep,
as compared to like, get into it, take your time, do your thing. I'll see you, it's a marathon, it's not a race.
that's right.
Right, and so that's how herbs kind of work. But the second thing I want to say is don't be fooled and think that you won't feel any results or see any results in a short amount of time. Like I said, when I hear my son start to have some type of snorting, the happy lung will fix it in about 5 minutes tops,
Wow.
right? And
Yeah.
so depending on the body, depending on the medicine, depending on the severity of it, will dictate how fast you see results. But just because herbs work over time doesn't mean you won't feel anything immediately or just faster than you thought. I had to say that.
Yeah, no, no,
But
that's great.
so I will say this for the balding, it's two things. With the balding, one, you have to start putting on aloe vera on your head every single day. If you're really
Mm,
serious about it,
okay.
go and get a plant. It's the easiest thing you can do. Home Depot, I don't care. Actually, I don't support Home Depot, but find your local nursery. No offense.
Yep.
Um, uh, but find your local nursery and find an aloe vera plant.
Yes.
And from there, take about 2 inches every single day, cut it in half, and rub it on your head
Mm.
every single day after a shower.
So
And
the
so
head is
the
dry
pores
or
can
the head
open
is still
up.
damp?
While the head is still damp, you took a warm shower, the pores are open, it's going to, sink in there better, and you kind of just go to sleep with it like that. You can wash off your head in the morning if you like. You can put a head cap on if you'd like, or some type of thing on if you like.
And what is the aloe vera
Um,
doing to the scalp?
and so the aloe vera is a stem cell proliferator. And so it activates stem cells. It kind of like turns things on and like makes things repair itself at a rapid pace. And so for cuts and different wounds, it accelerates the healing of that wound. It accelerates the healing of that skin, or the healing of that pore, or the healing of that skin after a sunburn, right? Things like that.
Okay.
And so it's a stem cell proliferator. And that's actually scientifically proven. Like they've done studies on that part. But so it helps rebuild those hair follicles that you once had. Because we're sponges, remember that. Okay? Even though your head is smooth, you're not completely smooth. You're a sponge. There's pores. And so those pores should have hair follicles. Now, if the hair follicles close up and there's a lot of inflammation around the hair follicles, because there's lymphatic system around your hair follicles, there's blood and nervous system connected to the hair follicles. If those start to become destroyed, those endings, then that swells up, and now you have this illusion of a smooth surface. That pore now closed up, it inflated, boom, it looks like a balloon now. But if you reduce that inflammation and you start working on that hair follicle again, which aloe vera does, you'll start to notice eventually that little hair come out, and that's like the hair follicle and the pore kind of opening. And so the skin is very interesting. The skin is very interesting. You know, the skin is very responsive. The skin is very, you know, if it wants to get a tumor out or if it wants to get a cyst out, it'll open up your skin and shoot that thing out. It does not need direction from you. And so it constantly contracts and expands and does all these types of movements. And so the scalp is the same way. And then two, I know I'm going on kind of a little bit of a tangent, but it's very important that, you know, I get all the details. Two, it's also it could also be a hormonal thing.
Okay.
Okay. That's why alopecia, the scientific name is like androgenic something alopecia, whatever. And so androgen it's a hormone. And so it's a hormonal thing as well. So balancing that hormone, like I said, the pituitary. But yeah, that's even deeper topic. I would, have everybody get their questions and stuff. I can keep going.
Okay, no, great. Is there another question or?
Let's see. Phoenix Animatani said my nephew started having seizures maybe 2 years ago, and now he's in his middle 50s. Doctors don't know what's causing them. They are so bad. Now he's memory loss. We'll have him contact you.
Okay, great. Yeah, so they're gonna reach out to you. So that's
that goes to show you.
Yeah.
You remember what I said earlier? Schizophrenia, all of those that have to do with the brain and the central nervous system that I said it was mobility, focus, your thought process, right? She's confirming it. Now he has memory loss. Those are the two together. When I said seizures are a brain and spinal cord issue. And memory is right here in the brain and spinal cord, right? Yeah. And so that's how you know that's the area you want to target. And so some of the things that you can do just, like right away, you don't have to wait for any products. You don't have to wait till the diet change. Like literally right away is you can do two things. One, start doing more massages. They're in that area. Now be very gentle with the massages. Do not have a lot of pressure on the massages because you can trigger a seizure. Okay? And so, but be very gentle with the massages, but do the massages, do the movements. And so,
so on the whole head and the back of the neck?
Exactly. So start massaging the head. Start massaging the back of the neck. Let me see. If I have my guy right here to kind of
because you're creating some blood flow too when you do that.
Exactly. And so in this area in the head, I wish you guys can see that diagram, but in the area of the head, you have two types of lymphatic systems, or two types of waste systems, I'll say. You have the glymphatic system with a G, and then you have the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system, it runs head to toe and between every toe. It runs everywhere. Yep. Okay, and then the glymphatic system with the G is specifically made for your brain and your head area. Because it's such an intense computer, it needs its own waste system. Because it's like an engine. Rev your engine, you're going to have exhaust out the back. Yeah. Cover up your exhaust and see how much you can rev your engine before you implode. It needs to get rid of its waste. It needs to get rid of its exhaust. That's why laptops have fans, right? Yeah. It needs to get rid of this. It needs to get rid of the heat. It needs to get rid of the waste, all of that. So the glymphatic system is inside the head. So you can activate that by massaging the head. Now, if you pull up a Phoenix, if you go to your computer or phone, you pull up a picture of the lymphatic system and the lymph nodes, to be exact, you'll see that we have pretty major lymph nodes along the back of the ears and along this part right here where kind of like the neck and the head meet. Yeah. You have pretty big lymph nodes. In those lymph nodes, you want to get those moving because those are kind of like those are kind of like, if I want to give you an analogy, in a factory of many, in a factory where you have the conveyor belt and then you have this box, whether it's stamping something or squirting something or something happens,
Right.
and it moves onto the conveyor belt to another box that it goes into, right? Those boxes or those things are the lymph nodes. If those boxes, like you're trying to make a product and in that box it's stamping something, if that is stuck, nothing on that conveyor belt is going to move. The conveyor belt's going to stop. All the operations are going to stop. The lymph nodes break down the waste. It's where a lot of your lymphocytes, it's a lot of your immune cells, your army basically in your body. That's where the battle takes place. Beats them up, thins it out, destroys whatever viruses it needs to, does whatever it needs to, and then moves the waste onto the conveyor belt, onto the rest of the lymphatic system. So here, behind, if you're dealing with head issues and neck issues, brain issues, your lymph nodes back here where your ears are and then right here are clogged up, along with some down the line of your neck in the front, like your collarbone, up here where you're, right?
Yeah,
Right
you gotta
here.
move it all right. I do a lymph massage each morning.
That's
So
what they
that's
have to
really important
do
what you're saying, and you push it all
every
down and
single
then release
day.
it in the ankle. Yeah.
Not too much pressure though, because
Yeah.
then too much toxins can come out at once and cause a seizure. And two, you can do one or two oils. Really, if it was up to me, I would buy both of them and I would alternate between them. Maybe like one morning this, another morning that. I would do rosemary oil.
Okay.
Probably do rosemary oil at night, and then in the morning I'll do peppermint oil. And so you can do a olive oil, a coconut oil, shea oil or shea butter, or a castor oil.
Yeah.
Any one of those. Put about 2 or 3 drops of essential oil. You don't need much than that. And then do that lymphatic massage on the neck. It can be as simple as just doing this.
Wow.
Going to the back of the ear
So those
and
oils are really good to use to move the
doing
lymph. That's
this,
great. Okay.
right? Doing this on the ear, on each side. Do it for about a minute at a time. Go on to the next lymph node, right? Go and get a picture of the lymphatic system and the lymph nodes, especially in the head, and target those. Massage those in those exact areas and help move these heavy metals along. At the same time, we have to work on his liver. But if he's going to contact me, I'll put him on a regimen and do all that. But he's going to have to eliminate those heavy metals through sweating, through a liver cleanse. So it's going to be a journey, but,
And drink
just
some
those
chlorophyll too.
massages.
The chlorophyll helps you
Huh?
get the heavy metals, right?
Which
Drinking the
one?
chlorophyll.
The chlorophyll. Yeah, I would recommend spirulina is my favorite one.
Ah, okay.
Spirulina is one of my absolute favorite ways to get rid of heavy metals. That was one of the main things that I used in my kids, especially him. I would make him a banana with a bunch of berries, usually blackberry, strawberry, blueberry, or blueberry, strawberry. Like I would mix them up. And then the spirulina. That would be his smoothie every single day from the time he turned 1 to the time he turned 2. And so that heavy metals, you'll see a difference. You'll feel a difference. You'll see a difference in your energy and your awakeness. You'll be like, whoa, I have kind of this mental clarity out of nowhere. So yeah. But
All
I'll
right.
put him
So
on a whole regimen if he contacts me.
now listen, because before we run out of time and you have to go, I got 3 kind of quick questions. I'm going to start with this one. We're in the age of Aquarius right now to July 2026. We have the Pisces North Node, the Virgo South Node. That's the health axis. Pluto represents virus and toxins. Aquarius, where Pluto is now, 3 degrees retrograde, is also about toxins and shadow work and detoxification. A lot of people, it's getting trendy, but it's also very necessary, right? In indigenous cultures, they do it more often, parasite cleanses. Us Americans, not so much, and we need it the most because we're poisoned the most. What do you say and how do you recommend to people to reach out to, or do you even offer a parasite cleanse?
Thank you. I 100% agree. We are it is getting a little trendy with the cleanses and the detoxes, and especially the parasite. However, like you said, it's needed. There's a reason why it's coming out,
Yeah.
and we're starting to understand how much they can rule over us. For me, I can say they hijack your nervous system, point blank, period. Hijacked how you think, hijack what you want to eat, who you like, how you act. Like they really hijacked your being. And so, yeah, they are getting trendy, and that can be a little dangerous because parasite cleanses, if done wrong, can have some pretty bad effects. You're not always leading up to death. Maybe you might be able to find one or two out there. Oh, they died of parasite cleanses. Like, it's very rare,
Right.
But you will find a bunch of cases where people felt uncomfortable, where they've had a bad experience, pain, nausea, and things like that. And so I will say, use a lot of discernment when it comes to these parasite cleanses, for one.
Okay.
For two, we have to remember what a parasite cleanse is. We are killing a piece of life consciously and intentionally in us. And that, when there's war, casualties are always a part of war. Innocent bystanders are always a part of war. When you're going out to kill something, you usually don't just kill the bad. Okay? In your body, with these antimicrobial, antiparasitic, antibacterial, remember, you can also kill good bacteria as well. If you do it too strong, you do it too long. Okay? So be very mindful that, it's not for everybody.
Right.
Especially if you're already weak. You don't need to be killing anything. Especially if you're already like in you have a severe cancer, or you have no energy at all, or something is just, you're at the end stage of something. Like, you don't need to be worrying about a parasite cleanse.
Okay.
The body's not even strong enough to cleanse itself. What makes you think you're going to get rid of the most nefarious, demonous things in your body? You know what I mean? You need strength.
No, that's great information. That's deep too.
You need willpower for that, right? And so the way that we do offer a parasite cleanse, it's called the Parasite Be Gone bundle.
Okay.
Parasite Be Gone. But in that, it gives you a kind of roadmap, saying, hey, this is a transition to eating clean, to, getting your colon moving again. Some people don't even poop more than one time a day, if at all. How are you going to eliminate parasites, right? So we have to start turning on these systems. Some people don't even sweat throughout the day. They don't have no type of physical exercise or anything. My parasite cleanse is a roadmap with like a transition into it. And so be very mindful of these parasite cleanses that last 1 month, 2 month, 3 month long. Yeah, I'm on my third parasite cleanse in the past 3 months, and it's like, relax. If you didn't get them the first time, relax. Like, hold on, something's wrong. And so I will also say this: work around the full moon when you're doing your parasite cleanses. Too many people don't realize that aspect of it. And the full moon will bring out, the freaks come out at night. The full moon will bring out those freaks at night, And it will. That's why, they say hospitals have the most
the lunatics
during that time. Like the ERs go crazy,
yeah.
and that's why people say that. Like, people get crazy around that time. Well, same thing for the parasites. They start to make you crave more. They start to make you act different because they're coming out. They're being summoned to the surface, just like the full moon does, right? It brings the nocturnal creatures kind of out. And so, be mindful of when you're doing it. You can be kind of working against yourself. Not that it won't work, but you're almost working against yourself. It's not as effective.
So is it
it's
better to start it, you're saying, at a full moon, or do it during? Like, you should already start it prior to the full moon?
Work around it. So it's going to be about 3 or 4 days before, 3 or 4 days after. Should only last 1, max 2 weeks.
Okay.
So like a week, easy thing to do, a week before, a week after.
Okay.
So a week before the full moon hits, and then the week after. So you're doing it for about 2 weeks straight, and that's really all that you would really need. if you're fasting, if you have the right herbs, if your bowels are strong enough to get that out, depending on what you eat, things like that. And so we do have a Parasite Be Gone bundle that'll help people who are kind of, because yeah, it's new, but it's not new.
No,
It's
it's ancient.
reintroduced, right? It's forgotten,
Yeah.
but it's very ancient for sure. And it's very animalistic. It's very natural. I was just reading a picture, like this article about a bird, the raven or crow to be exact, using ants to get rid of any excess bacteria, fungus, parasites that are on its wings that it can't reach. And so it'll go near a mound of ants, spread its wings, and you'll see ants literally crawling everywhere and eating the sugars and the whatever that's on it. And that's how it cleanses itself. That's its parasite cleanse.
That's brilliant. Wow.
Right? And animals, especially out in the Sahara and throughout Africa, a lot of animals, they go in the mud baths.
Yes.
They'll roll around in mud to suffocate those things because the mud is naturally antimicrobial, antiparasitic. It's hard for them to exist in that. And so it's so natural. Trees will drop leaves that are infected. Like nature does this.
Yeah.
And so don't think that it's new, people. It's very, very ancient. We're just not hip to it. And it honestly goes against our entire culture because our capitalistic current situation that we're in is very parasitic. Our governmental system is very parasitic. And so they literally to do a parasite cleanse will put you against the status quo, will put you against what modern society has trained for you.
Yeah.
And so they're very powerful. Everybody should do it 1-2 times a year. Does not need to be every month. It does not need to be 4 or 5 times a year. It can just be 1 or 2 times a year.
Yeah.
And that's about it. The clean eating will sustain you after that.
Okay. I know we're pressed for time. I need these answers. These are real quick. So the first one, when someone like my sons all play football, they're athletes. So how do you deal with like soft tissue issues? Like my son's got a hamstring strain. What do you recommend for stuff like that?
Well, I'm a sports player myself, and I'm a baller. I'm a basketball player. So I actually just got off of dealing with an injury. I went up for a rebound. Somebody took my legs out, landed completely on my side.
Ugh.
Had a bruised hip. I landed on my thumb. My thumb was jammed. It was awful. It still feels like a little pressure, but it's way better. And so this is something I relate to personally. What I do is steam sauna, just to keep it short and simple. Steam sauna. You have to circulate those toxins.
Yeah.
You can't use the excuse that I have a pulled hamstring, I can't run, I can't hop on a treadmill, you have to move those toxins. You have to move that dead tissue. Remember, whenever there was an impact, whether you fell, whether you got hit, especially you said football.
Yeah.
Impacts galore, right? So whenever there's an impact on the body, what happens is there's microfractures. And this happens whether I punch myself, I stub my toe, or I'm getting hit by a linebacker. And so there's microfractures where that impact is. When we're young and our lymphatic system is moving, our blood is moving, it can easily take that away. Here you go. Feel better in a minute or two. You're all right. As we get older, as we get more dehydrated, as we become weaker, that the ambulance takes a little longer to come after that accident, right? And so and so that happens after every impact. So just imagine how many impacts you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis in football. And so in order to kind of boost that those ambulances coming, that immune cells coming, is that steam sauna is going to help with that. And so going to the steam sauna at least 3 to 4 times a week. If you're injured, 3 to 4 times a week, about 10 minutes in there. You don't really need to be in much longer than 10 to 15. Don't go super long, and make sure you stay hydrated. 2 is hydration. In order to move that damage along, there has to be some type of lubrication. There has to be some type of water. And so coconut water, electrolytes,
Mm.
watermelon juice, especially watermelon juice.
Yeah.
That's going to be your
Coconut,
favorite
okay.
drink in the summertime.
Yeah.
Drink at least 1 to 2 cups of watermelon juice every single day, and you'll feel your blood flow start to come back in that area. You'll feel things start, and sleeping. Number 3 is sleeping. Your body, and this is the last one because I know the time, but your body repairs itself from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. If you do not sleep during that time, it does not matter how awake you may be, your body did not do internal healing.
Right.
That is the time where you're in your deepest sleep, where there's the hormones that release put you into a REM sleep, and that's where you're barely holding on to this body. Your spirit is so far gone, and your body's like, cool, he's not here. Let's start to work on everything, because once the spirit comes back, okay, there's a man in the suit now. We're not focusing on healing. We're back to going, right? So that 10 to 2 p.m. super critical for anybody dealing with any injury.
Okay. That's powerful. So last but not least, we talked about it. Wifey asked you about it, and I know a lot of people watching deal with this. What do you have for blood pressure issues?
Okay, blood pressure. Well, that's the cherry on top for everything. Because we do have a bundle for that specifically. It's called the Too Much Pressure Bundle. Okay, Too Much Pressure Bundle. And what it focuses on is a couple things. One is the kidneys. Super important. Okay? The kidneys are the battery pack that keep your circulation going. The more your kidneys are overwhelmed and the slower they're going, the slower and the harder your circulation is going to have to go. The harder your circulation is going to have to work. Okay, so maintaining proper kidneys, a proper kidney health is crucial when it comes to blood pressure, high blood pressure specifically.
Yeah.
The way that you do that is by one, you have to stay hydrated. Coconut water. Water alone does not do it.
No.
Okay, pure water does not do it unless you're getting it from a spring yourself.
Right, and we
'Cause then
don't
it
have
has
access to the
minerals and
spring
then
water. You're right, yeah.
Exactly, from a spring itself, because it's been moving that electrical charge of going through the rocks, and you're holding electrical water when you get it from a spring, from a river. When you're getting it in a bottle that's been sitting there for 3 months before you reach it, there's not really much electricity in that. There's not really much minerals. A lot of them have kind of gone to waste. They've oxidized. Not really hydrating your body, but they will make you go pee. Like really, right? And so the watermelon juice, cucumber, if you want to do like cucumber, water, and lemon, have that in like a pitcher and leave that all day soaking and drink from that if you are going to drink some water. Let it be infused with some cucumber, some lemon, some berries, right? Something like that. Let it be infused with things. So staying hydrated with some type of rich electrolyte drink will do you good. Coconut, any type of melon, any type of citruses like orange juice, fresh, everything fresh, right?
Yeah.
That's going to do you great. That's going to help naturally lower the blood pressure. 2 is the circulation, right? The circulation, the ways that you can work on that is by having some type of warming foods. And so the cayenne peppers, the gingers, the cinnamons. I can't really think of any type of warming
Would
food
turmeric
right
be
now.
okay?
Turmeric is not really too stimulating to the circulation.
Okay.
When I say warming, I mean more so like bringing some type of spice, bringing some type of
So ginger
heat,
and cayenne are
right?
really
So you
great.
can
Yeah.
kind of like feel heat if you drink and you feel kind of hot, or you feel like
Yep.
warm after, like things like that. That's going to help boost the circulation. 3, the oils and fried foods, of course, that will clog up the arteries. And so reducing those. If you are going to use oil, put it on after the fact that you cook, not during the cooking process. And so it's not turning rancid, and your body can process it a lot better. And it's not going to get so sticky in the body, or sticky in the arteries especially. And so watch the oils you're using. Use more fresh oils. Olive oil, avocado, coconut are the best ones that I personally recommend to consume. And sesame oil. I really love sesame oil.
Yeah. Okay.
And then another thing is strengthening the heart. Okay, we have to strengthen the heart. Okay, and so the hibiscus is one of my favorite ones, or jamaica hibiscus. And so what I like to do is that you can find it on any really herbal store out there that sells loose herbs. You can find it at Sprouts, any type of like health food store, really. And the hibiscus is a flower that strengthens the heart and your circulation. And
Wow.
it's red. It has tons of iron in there, so it's going to help you build blood. And so perfect for the wifey as well. Highly recommend that.
Okay.
Get a handful, put it in a liter of water, like a big pitcher of water, and put it in the fridge overnight. You don't even have to boil it or anything.
Okay.
And when you wake up in the morning, it's going to be blood red. And because it infuses into the water almost instantly. If you want to
Wow.
spice it up a little bit, you can put it on the stove and simmer it with some ginger or some cinnamon. And that's more so how the Caribbeans do it.
Yeah.
Star anise,
So the hibiscus with the
cloves.
water, and you could put the ginger or cinnamon in it. That sounds good.
Exactly. And so I would drink that every single day. For her, I would drink 3 cups a day, 2 to 3 cups. Anybody suffering from high blood pressure, 2 to 3 cups, non-negotiable. It's going to be your morning, afternoon, and then mid-afternoon. Don't drink it too late. I don't want it to
Okay.
give you energy or things
And
like that.
does eating grapefruits and the watermelon also help too?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But if you want to kind of go after it a little bit more aggressively or a little
Do
bit
that. Yeah.
more, with some urgency,
Yeah.
then it would be the juices.
Okay.
And so you would juice those things. But yeah, eating it is great. And doing more fruits, just more before 12, don't eat anything but fruit. That's the only thing you have on your menu is fruit.
Yeah.
And just doing that alone. And of course, getting rid of the meats
Yeah.
and the animals. If it lives, let it live. Okay, it's not gonna help you.
I try to tell my son that, he's always worried about the protein, I got to get big and strong, Dad. And I'm like, there's plenty of people get big and strong eating fruits and veggies. That's what the animals eat. They eat the fruits and veggies.
Who's the biggest? Who's the biggest out there? It's the veggie eaters. The rhino, one of the heaviest. The gorilla, one of the strongest. All
Yeah.
veggie eaters. The tallest, the giraffe, veggie eater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
So it's like, yeah. I mean, I'm sure once he tries it out, he'll learn. He'll be
Yeah.
like, wow, I
Yeah.
feel great.
Listen, man, you are such a wealth of knowledge. We're gonna have to do this again. I
Of
thank you
course.
so much for coming. It's an honor and pleasure. I want you to share the website again, and then also you still have your Life in Nature community, correct?
Yes. And so
Okay,
the
so share
the
that with everybody, and then I'll have to hit you with one last little quick question out the door. But go ahead, share with everybody how they can reach you and all the things that you have for them.
Okay. Well, if you want to get one of our herbal products, we sell everything from teas to tinctures to hair oil to our eye, apply it on your eye. That is lifetheplantway.com. That's where you'll find all of our products. It's the only place currently where you'll find any of our products. Hope to be in stores soon,
Yeah.
But yeah, and we ship everything out of Long Beach, California. Now, if you want to go and learn more about my philosophy on things, my analogies that I use, how I break down the body, things like that, you can go over to lifenature.info. And that we actually made into a free community now. Before it was paid to kind of get it off the ground. And then I felt the urgency to kind of release it to anybody and everybody to get this information out there. That is our free community where you can just sign up, no card information, no nothing. And you get a discount for sure with being a part of, Eric's thing, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's a wealth of information on there. There's a social media aspect to it. There's a place where you can have your own conversations with people and things like that. But explore the app or explore the website. You'll enjoy it. And if you want to get to know me and book my time, then that would be my first name, last name.com, josephoctaviani.com. And that's my story, how I started things, and just know more about me.
I love it, brother. So we've touched on so much, and I know you got to run, but maybe there's one product that we haven't named yet. Maybe it's one of your, favorite products or something that's, really big and selling, but just give us one quick product that we haven't talked about that maybe could help the audience.
Good question. Good question. I would say I would say our energizing tea. It looks like this. It's called energía in Spanish,
Okay.
and energy in English. So it's
Yeah.
our energizing tea, and the reason why is because Spirit kind of just told me we have to get our nervous systems back up online.
Yes.
Okay, if we're gonna be in this time where our nervous systems are trying to be hijacked in this technological world, our brains and our nervous systems, we're relying on caffeine more than ever. We're relying on energy drinks and stimulants more than ever.
Yeah.
We have to get off of that.
Yes.
And that's why our energizing tea is the one I recommend. It's all 100% natural herbs, and what it does is it works on that neurological system. It works on the adrenal glands, and it also boosts the circulation. So personally, I use it as a pre-workout.
Okay.
And so it boosts the circulation. It makes you feel awake and motivated. And for men, it also helps with testosterone. Okay, so every man, every boy, period, that's of age playing football in high school, they're gonna benefit from it too. So
put that in my gift bag.
yeah, I'll put it in the gift bag for sure. I got you guys.
me and the teenager need that one. That's good. Oh man, brother, you are such a
It was a
wealth of
pleasure,
knowledge.
man.
Thank you for the work you do for the collective. I know it's your business, but it's your love and it's your passion, and that's what you shared with us today, and that's what people can see. I feel that from your Pisces rising. I grounded it from your Taurus moon, and then I feel how you nurture and care for the collective with the Cancer sun. And Jupiter is there right now to support you this year. So you're really gonna be hit it in such
I'm
a great
excited about
place.
that one. Trust me.
Yeah, Jupiter
I'm
is
really
there to
excited.
really
I'm
help.
ready.
So that's just awesome. So thank you again, everybody. This was so amazing. Joseph Octaviani, Life the Plant Way. Go check out lifetheplantway.com. You will never be disappointed. His tinctures, teas, remedies, they are all so on point and they work. You know what I mean? They really work.
Thank you,
And
man.
as you
Thank
guys
you.
saw, he's a wealth of knowledge, right? So any last messages, man, for the collective?
Use your discernment out there, guys. Start having faith in humanity again. I shared this message not too long ago. Let's start having faith in humanity again. Let's stop putting all of our faith in machines and technological, artificial, this and that. Reach over to your brother, your sister. Make sure that they're safe. Make sure that they're being, taken care of. And let's all look out for each other. We're going to need it. We're in some crazy times, but we got each other. And there's nothing that humans can't, overcome together. And so link up with your people. Find your people.
I love that. I say. That's so great, my brother. Thank you again. Thank you guys for watching. Please come back, leave a comment, share this with people. Joseph dropped so much knowledge and information. Please share this out to the collective so people get to watch it, and come back and leave a comment so it grows in the algorithms. Again, thank you, Joseph. Life the Plant Way,
Sure.
BigEAstro.